Hello and welcome back to Bite Size. And in today's Bite Size video, I'm going to be talking about keeping it real. Now, most of you who are out there as working mediums, and those of you who are developing as mediums, those of you who are hoping to take that path of developing your mediumship, will most likely have people in your life who either disapprove, don't understand, mock. There are people who you won't be able to talk to about this, and certainly what we often find throughout our journey of mediumship is the circle of friends changes. We move away. We're in different directions to them, and vice versa. And that's okay, and sometimes it can be a little bit sad, but you're doing this for a very important reason. And if you're compelled to do it, it's like a train, and you don't want to pull the emergency cord and stop it because it feels right. And you are right if it's right for you. And I just want to talk today about some things I call keeping it real. Keeping it real for me is about it being as normal as possible. We've got to have a normal way of life. We've got to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune just like anybody else. Some people do find it rather amusing to refer to people in this field in derogatory ways and think it's very funny. We can't do anything about that. And that's life. That is totally life. And there is a lot worse going on in the world than someone who just doesn't understand what you do and thinks it's something to be humiliated or a point of humour. Those are their feelings, not ours. So, try and stay strong. And, what they're thinking, well, that's pretty sad, really. But try not to let that interfere and derail you from the train. And keeping it real is very important to me. And I think one of the ways that we can keep it as real as possible is by understanding that we don't have to develop a jargon. When we're developing our mediumship, we are in particular very keen to see how other people work, and it could be that their work is brilliant, but there have been some habits that seem to have developed into a kind of jargon, which is very strange. Mediumship was developing its language all of its own. Well, if you're finding it hard being accepted as normal, if you then go and develop a very strange language, you are, in a sense, exacerbating that problem. So keeping it real is about keeping it normal. And one of the things I find very strange, if you like, is when people talk about people as vibrations. Now, yes, if you look at it on a scientific point of view, we always have this frequency. Our energy, our thoughts, they're all frequencies. Everything's frequency, everything's sound. And in every frequency, you can measure a vibratory pattern. So in a sense, everything is vibration. But it does sound a bit weird when someone gets up and says, I've got a grandmotherly vibration or a motherly vibration or a... you don't often hear friendly vibrations. I've got a friendly vibration or I've got a friend vibration. It seems to be a relationship, father, fatherly, grandfather, fatherly, grandmother, grandmotherly. We get Lee quite a lot, don't we? Lee seems to come into it. So we create this jargon, and I have a grandmotherly vibration. Well, either you got my grandmother or you haven't. So if you feel you've got a grandmother, say, I sense I've got a grandmother. But don't call my grandmother a vibration. My grandmother was a human being in this life. She's a soul in the next life. She's so much more than a vibration. She is a powerhouse, if you like, of emotion, of love, of memories, of personality, of hopes and desires like all of us. She's more than a vibration. So I know it's being used to try and describe what it is that you have, but it does sound a bit strange to say someone's a vibration. Also try and be a little more specific. I've got a grandmother, I've got a father, I've got a friend, I've got an uncle, I've got your husband, your wife. So they don't have to become a Lee. And, it's becoming a jargon, and it's becoming a way of working that we see a lot of, and certainly amongst my colleagues it's something we try and break down quite a bit. The other thing, keeping it real, is when we're inspired by something but we say it in a vague way. So for example, we're sensing a name but we can't get it, so we might say, and I've got the letter M with me as a name. I think most of us probably could take that. But I think if you've actually got the letter M, how have you got it? Question how you get it. Have I actually got it because I heard M or M? Did it just pop into your mind? Was it a sensing act? If you can sense M, you can probably sense the rest of the name. So it's too vague, really, isn't it? I think most of us can take an M. And, I can understand if somebody said, I've got a name and it begins with a Z and I can't quite get it because there aren't that many Z names. There are Z names, of course, but they're not so common perhaps as the letter M, which is a little bit vague. So we've got a grandmotherly vibration and the letter M is significant in a name around her. And certainly in my part of the world, just about everyone, if the grandmother's name doesn't start with an M, it could be part of their name, and they will certainly know someone whose name starts with the letter M. So it's a little bit like hedging your bets. There's the overindulgence of evidence. So you can go too far. I mean, once you've proved the spirit world is with you, you really need to then work with it. And so there's a habit to constantly be trying to get the height of someone right. The shoe size, the address, all those things are very good information if they're accurate, but there's a tendency to go on too much with, I've got an old man here and he used to roll his cigarettes. He used to make his own cigarettes and he used to roll them, and you go into 5 minutes of showing how somebody is rolling the paper and putting the backy in and spreading it out and then licking it. And it's a little bit like, well, we're fleshing this out a little bit too much. He rolled his own cigarettes. He made his own cigarettes. He enjoyed rolling his own cigarettes. We don't have to have the whole process mimed to us on a stage. So there's that little bit of overindulgence that's one of the things that's important when we're keeping it real to avoid. The other thing that I would say for demonstration is we get into habits of communication, and when the adrenaline is flowing, it's sometimes quite difficult for us to get out of the habits. But the constant asking questions, and would you know that they did this? Would you know about that? That's either a yes/no answer, which we want yes/no answers, but it's going to look so much better if you change that round and say you would know. Put your money where your mouth is, and don't be afraid to get it wrong. But it's much better than saying would you, or you would is much better than would you. Could you is not so good as you could. Would, could, should. It's important that these are to do with presentation and perhaps nothing to do with the quality of your mediumship, But to the skeptic and to the outsider and to many others as well, it looks too formulaic, it looks habitual, and you're perhaps less able, because you're caught up in this style of presentation that is not always the best, that you are perhaps hedging your bets. And you may not be hedging your bets, you just may have got into a habit. So think with presentation, video record yourself if you can. Get someone, if you've got a friend with you for the evening and you're demonstrating, just ask them quietly and check with the venue that it's okay, and that they don't film anyone else, if you can see what you like when you demonstrate. It's a bit scary, but it's well worth doing. It's a brilliant exercise to do. That's about it, but keep it real. If you've enjoyed these videos, then please hit subscribe, join the mailing list, leave a comment below, and look forward to the next time. Bye.